Roleplay. So, oh no, I wanted to get like a quick overview, real quick, 15 minutes, right? Okay. About some success stories of companies that I've worked with. This company is like a musical instruments manufacturer, and they make, I don't know, does anybody play musical instrument? Oh, there you go. Okay, so earthquaker devices, they were really successful in the US, and they knew that there was a big market in Japan, and they had a distributor, but they weren't selling anything. So I helped them to find a new distributor. Well, first of all, actually, we identified that the prior distributor had like a competing brand in their lineup, so they weren't selling anything for them, long story short. But we went together to the world's biggest trade show for musical instruments. We basically knocked on the door of all the Japanese distributors for musical instruments and went to Japan, picked 4 of them, and looked at their distribution potential, at the marketing and everything. And in the end, they got a deal with Yamaha Music and are super happy. So it was how to overcome it was how to overcome their hurdle. It was the problem they were too polite with their current distributor. So it's sometimes you need to be, even with Japanese, you need to be direct. If there isn't anything happening, you need to know which questions to ask. And in the end, they never realized. They just jumped on the first opportunity that they had with a Japanese distributor that came up to them, but it never developed the way that they wanted to. This one is a company in the precision machining automation sector, so they help machines to be more precise and to machine parts for companies like SpaceX. And so they were looking to license their technology in Japan. This is a compost machine. I don't know if you heard about composting. In Japan, you have like a triangle in the corner of the sink, and all the organic garbage you just throw out there that accumulates in the sink. And this is something where it's like a Japanese you say it namagomi shoriki. So it's like for organic waste, like a composting machine. And this is a watch manufacturer that is designed in the US, manufactured in Switzerland, and I helped them with an architecture. Okay, so next one. Let's do a quick role play. So I just wanted to show you, and I realize we don't really have chairs, but that's fine, we'll do it standing. So I want to do a quick role play that a US automotive supplier is visiting the Toyota headquarters, Toyota purchasing, and the US automotive supplier tries to sell, obviously, their product. We won't get to that, we don't have time for that. But we will have 3 from each party. So from the Japanese side, we'll have a bucho, kacho, and tanto. And from the US side, we'll have a department manager, secretary manager, and staff. And I'll play the Japanese department manager, and I need 3 for the US side. So I need 3 people from the US side. You, and you. Okay. You can decide, let's say, bucho, kacho, tanto. And let's say from the Japanese side, you can be kacho and you can be tanto. All right. So you can stand up. You, the 3 the US party, if you can get out and just knock on the door. You can stay. So we'll stay here and we see. So we'll just like this. No, that's okay. Like this. Okay. So first question: who opens the door from the Japanese side? The bucho, the staff. Very easy. Okay. Please open the door. All right. Welcome them in English. Hold on right there, perfect. So you as the staff, what are you doing? What are you going to do next? So you welcome them, and then what would you do next?
Would I be like please have us, or introduce?
No, we're not here yet. We're not
okay,
even
okay.
here yet. Sorry, we're not even here.
Oh, gotcha.
So
So
you,
be like, please have a seat. Then.
okay, perfect. So where would they sit down? So that's the meeting table. Sorry, I thought we had chairs, but we don't have chairs. So we're going to improvise. So where would you show them to sit in the meeting room? Right there.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So now, question for you, Free. Where would you sit? Would you sit on this side of the table, or would you sit on this side of the table? This is the door to the meeting room. This is like the door away. This is the side of the table away from the door. This is the side to the door, towards the door.
You should sit closest to the door entrance where they can sit.
Closer to the door?
Yeah.
No. the side away from the door is the guest seat. So the side away from the door is the guest. So you would go all the way on this side, right there. Exactly, wonderful.
Is there a particular reason for that?
It's because there is in Japanese houses there's also like a I forgot the exact term for it, but it's like a special place where you always receive the guests.
Oh,
It's
okay.
on the other side of the door, and it's more convenient because usually we come in later and we just walk in. We don't have to. They can already see us when we walk in.
I see.
So I'm going to improvise a bit, and you can have. So you were the butcher, right? So you all have business cards. We're going to do a quick business card exchange. So you have usually you always need a business card holder of all of the two businesses. For you, for you, and for you. And the same for here, if you want. So we're going to do a quick business card exchange. And now the big question is, how do we exchange business cards? And who starts? We're 6 people. How do we just run, okay, the first one that you see? Usually not. So usually, if you were the staff and I was the bucho, you would already know who is who, more or less, because you have organized kind of the meeting, you already know who's who. So you would like kind of guide me to the most important person and show me how to start. So the most important person, which is you, so we would start, you would introduce me, and then we would start exchanging business cards, exactly. And then the thing is, you already know with 2 hands, very good, but don't do like this, but try to go from below. Don't try to do it on top, but from below. If you want to like look at the notes exactly like this, and then you hold it with 1 hand, and while you pass it with your right hand, exactly, and then you receive it and you look at it, and then you say, you examine it, say thank you, and then you take a bow. Then that's the bow. So that's how you start. And then the second one in the rank would do that also with the guest. So with the guest, and then we would continue. So I would go to the second one as well.
Okay.
So you would continue. So I would also give you my business card, and then we would give you my business card, and so on and so on. So the most important person starts at the very beginning. Yeah. Okay. Maybe 5 minutes. So I'm going to stop it here. We could continue on and on and on. There's a lot of things that just wanted to give you some exposure to that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Just leave it here on the table. I wanted to please have a seat. Thank you so much. Applause for the volunteers. Thank you. So, do we have internet access?
はい、あります。
Yes. So, let's see.
Chrome で、
Chrome でいいですか？
はい。下の方にもういろいろ出てるので、
です
この辺で。
そうかそうか。
はい。
Want to discover the French culture? Fly one way from Miami to Paris at a smart price.
In Japan, your work is your community. You'll have deep roots. Your family's often connected to it, and so
real quick, this is like a serial entrepreneur that lives in Tokyo. He started in the midst of the pandemic. He started a document signing process specifically for Japan. So like something like DocuSign, but specifically something like where you would use your hanko or your Japanese, what is it? Stamp? Seal. And to sign a ringisho, which is like a circular letter. It's like a ringisho, it's like your proposal, and then like the different people that have to sign or push their seal onto it.
Those interpersonal bonds that show up work-wise are different than what you would see in a foreign environment. At large companies particularly, you see this. It's like, oh, I'm this trillion company, or I'm this famous telco. And that network of people inside the company, there's friends, there's enemies, there's people they like, don't like, people they go to barbecues, whatever with. But where you have a professional community in the US, okay, we're all in startups together. In large companies, Japan especially, you don't see that cross-pollination, right? And so when you look and say, okay, well, I want to hire someone from this large Japanese company because they will know everyone at these other 6 large ones that are potential customers. You often run into actually they don't. And what they've learned is how to effectively get things done or move around that organization.
So what this shows is that just because, for example, when you need to hire in Japan, just because you hire someone from a big company doesn't mean that they know the competition or they know the whole industry. They know how to navigate in their own ecosystem within that company, but nowhere else. So I don't know how it is, for example, if you identify yourself with students from FIU. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You're kind of in the same boat, right? There's like a Japanese language, like for example, there might be some competition between FIU and UM for sure, but you're still all students. You're kind of like still, you share that. In Japan, if you go to a networking event, it's really interesting. I've never experienced it anywhere else. They will stay in a circle, the people that know each other, so the bucho, the kacho, the staff, they will stay in a circle and they will not go out of that circle if they're not introduced by someone to somebody else, especially if that company is like a competing company from the same sector. So they will do like, oh, they're like the bad guys. It's like a little bit like the samurai clans back in the days. It's like they really see themselves, all right, it's like life or death situation, so they don't really even talk to the other. So that's like a big difference that I wanted to just quickly show with this. And then one very, very old video, but I wanted to show it nonetheless because it is,
一番右の Chrome のサインをクリックしていただければ。
So don't get scared by the very, very old video.
This is the first meeting I've been to. I think we've had 2 meetings while I've been away, so this is a bit of a chance for me to catch up.
In real life, the challenge comes in handling meetings where there are different styles brought to the table at once.
So this is a trilateral meeting. I think there's like an Australian company, 2 Indonesian companies, and a Japanese company.
We were allowed to film a meeting of joint venture partners in Indonesia as it happened. The consortium includes 2 major Indonesian companies, a Japanese and an Australian one. Following their usual practice, this meeting of the operational management team is chaired by the most senior Australian manager.
So if we can identify, and I'm sure we will, identify issues.
We interrupted the meeting to ask the Japanese about differences in the way meetings are run in their own country.
I wanted to ask you what you think it is, but just because we don't have time, I'll just go ahead. So look at him in the back. He's laughing about it already because he finds it very funny how they do business in Australia. He's nodding his head and laughing about it.
会社的な対応を引っ張っていくようなやり方をやるんですが、こちらだと例えば今の会議でうちの場合はさんが一番トップということで主導権を持っていろんな議事を進められる。それからコメントもダイレクトに出てくる。
So, long story short, in Japan, the decision makers, they just come, sit down, say, interesting, yes, no, okay, bye. They don't really do the organization around it. In the Western world, the senior leaders, they already really try to get involved, making decisions, organizing the meeting, being the moderator and so on. In Japan, be it a nomikai, be it a meeting like this, it's usually a younger, junior person who looks through all the material, prepares the slides, just passes everything to everyone and is in charge. And the older generation just sits down and makes a decision. So it's very hierarchical in that respect. Good. Yeah, I think that is...
一番右のスライドのマークを押して、はい。
So, that was it. Do we still have? We don't even have time for Q&A. So sorry. But please, if you want to stay, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I don't want to take away your time. That was it.
ありがとうございます。
Do you have any?